And I'll tell you what I think, and it may be going out on a limb on this, but I think that the Obama administration is very worried about what we call a capital strike, a strike of capital, in the sense that if you really push these guys too hard, they can say, oh, really? You don't want us to get bonuses? You want us to be accountable? You want to know about our illegal behavior? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to freeze up credit completely. And your economy is going to go tank, and good luck to you, Mr. President.
The big banks can make such threats today because they operate with no fear of criminal penalties.
Folks who are in charge of running this economy ran red light after red light after red light and caused car wreck after car wreck after car wreck, and no one's held them accountable. There hasn't even been a conversation about accountability.
In 2005, the U.S. Supreme Court, stacked with pro-corporate justices, overturned a conviction won by the Justice Department against accounting firm Arthur Andersen, implicated in the Enron scandal. Now, incredibly, the government tells companies to police themselves. The Justice Department's current position is that a company can escape criminal prosecution if they just promise to change their behavior.
You would think that Congress would say, who caused it? Who are we going to hold accountable? Are people going to jail? Where's the prosecution? You would think that would have happened, right? Hasn't happened.
And the banks are still the most powerful lobby on Capitol Hill, and they, frankly, own the place.
As of 2011, not one corporate CEO, bank executive, or politician has been criminally prosecuted for crimes leading to the economic meltdown of 2008.
If you really did the investigation, the Democrats would not be able to simply say, oh, it was that George W. Bush, it was him. Well, you know what? It was a lot of Bush. But I'm afraid the Republicans would be able to say, sorry, not just us. Take a look at Robert Rubin, Secretary of Treasury under Bill Clinton, and all of the Rubin guys. They were working with Alan Greenspan. They were working with Phil Gramm to deregulate all of this stuff. So you got true bipartisanship. Everybody wants bipartisanship. You got it.
And the memory of Ronald Reagan being enshrined in this country as some kind of a great leader is a crime. The memory of any of the Republican leadership, or the Democratic leadership for that matter, over the last 25 years, being as anything other than conspirators in the theft of America, is a crime.
We didn't actually clean up Wall Street. We actually didn't slay the beast. We actually put them on life support, and they've been off healing and mending themselves and doing quite well.
For 30 years, we've been turning up the heat on average Americans slowly. And it's been turned up at such a slow pace that if you say this is a crisis, people look at you as if you're weird.
When the majority of the American public can no longer feed their families, we're going to have a crisis. And that's where we're headed.
We don't want to see our way of life go away. We don't want to see our standard of living decline dramatically. That's what's at risk.
What we've seen over the last 30 years is a deliberate transfer of wealth from middle class and the poor to the very wealthiest people in our country. The game is fundamentally rigged, and that ordinary people who do everything right, who play by the rules, still end up with the short end of the stick.
I don't think people have a good understanding of how low incomes are in America from work. 1/3 of jobs in America pay less than $15,000 a year. Now, that includes part-time workers and people with 2 small jobs. But half make less than $25,000. 3/4 make less than $54,000. 99% make less than $250,000.
In reality, working Americans have been pushed to rely on credit to make up for the lack of growth in wages, even as corporate profits skyrocketed. wages have stagnated since 1973, despite increased worker productivity. Instead, the benefits of Americans' hard work have gone to executives and shareholders.
What does the Bible denounce? The Old Testament, the New, and the Quran, all of them denounce again and again and again with a really powerful word. Denounce as evil. It is taking from those with less to give to the rich.
I don't want to create a country where there is a landed gentry, where because you happen to make $5 billion, the next 20 generations of your children will get all the best spots in all the best colleges. Nonsense. That's not what America's about.
Instead of a society in which we're struggling together to deal with environmental crisis, to deal with education, to make sure that all of our people have health care, we are a society now in which the goal is to be one of those people on top that have tremendous wealth and tremendous power.
Everybody was shocked by Hurricane Katrina and by these images of poor African Americans and other people abandoned, stuck on rooftops, waving American flags for 2, 3, 4 days, holding babies, without a drop of water, without the U.S. government, the richest country in the world, being able to get them a scrap of food after 3, 4, 5 days. People were shocked, and it was shocking. But what nobody wanted to address was, it was the logical, necessary, inevitable outcome of 30 years of public policy that both parties had championed, saying, if you're poor, you're on your own. If you're poor, sink or swim. And it's better for you. It's morally right that we won't help you if you're poor. You should pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and if you can't cut it, you should be left to sink or swim.